February 27th, 2023, Monday, my first day working for MOZ.com, and I am a search engine optimizer, and I have been since probably 96, 97, as I gradually transitioned from what we called a webmaster in those days to SEO. It was really both at once. I was a webmaster who really focused on making sure the site that I worked on was search optimized in order to get and keep customers. I was directly in the funnel. I arguably was the funnel in gathering all the sales leads and distributing them out to the company's dealers, or value-added resellers as we called them, and entering those relationships into discussion board systems so that those relationships could be managed and prospects could be turned into customers, which could be turned into happy repeating customers. The whole, I guess sales funnel, but also I think of it very much as the Peter Drucker process. He was a business guru who really helped build up American business according to its modern principles. And that started out in the suburbs of Philadelphia, the outskirts of Philadelphia, where Commodore Computers was located, because I was working for a spin-off company from Commodore once they went out of business circa 1991. And I repurposed all my skills for a software spin-off company from Commodore called Scala Multimedia, which in itself repurposed all its abilities to an industry called digital signage, where in those days they were hardly even flat panel TVs, because flat panels weren't much of a thing in those days. They were more like large CRT or cathode ray tube TVs that were hanging from these massive apparatus and train stations and all kinds of places, universities. And it was a digital signage system. So I optimized on the terms digital signage and helped build that company up, and then moved on to New York City when the opportunities arose, and went from being a webmaster SEO to being more like a New York agency, a marketing agency person, helping consult to clients. And I had some big clients in my day. I had companies like Apple and Kraft, JC Penney, were all on my roster. I helped, do some pretty large and interesting things in the industry that have got lost to the obscurity of time. And I continually reinvent myself and never do the empire building entrepreneurial thing. It's never been in my blood. I've tried the consultant thing once and I was like, ick. I hate being this, I just like a worker elf. And that would seem to indicate, well, you become top of the hierarchical structure and you have the worker elves underneath of you. And then you're a manager, and that has equally little interest to me. I like to use the technology. I like to work on things directly, and I love the craft. It's the craft that is love-worthy, the combination of the tools themselves and the skills of using those tools, committing a certain amount of that expertise to spontaneous mastery, muscle memory, if you will, like one does when driving a car. You don't think about driving a car once driving it. It becomes an extension of your body. And there's a certain love-worthy process in that. There's a certain love-worthy aspect in that when you get to apply your excess capacity, because all this stuff that other people have to spend their time thinking and working hard about the details of the tool fade into the background, and you can move on to other things knowing that all that basic stuff is just gonna automatically get done correctly. It's been moved over to a more automatic place in your being, right? An extension of your body. Tools become extensions of bodies, essentially. And so I resent it when the tools that I take up that become the parts of my body go obsolete. There's like atrophied parts of your body. It's like, you evolve a spleen and you don't need a spleen anymore. Well, all that energy that went into making that spleen in your body is like technical liability overhead that's going to be there for the rest of your existence. And it's not that I believe in like a super optimized state. Life isn't optimized. Life is this long circuitous route. And, tools that end up as a result of those long circuitous routes are okay. They're not love-worthy. However, over time, through process of refinement, evolution, whatever, tools get better and settle into a somewhat timeless state, a snapshot state at which everyone knows this particular version of this is widely used and will be for a long time. And that is a perpetually recurring trick in all fields. With tech, it would take the form of versions that everybody locks into and uses for a long time. In the Python world, it was certainly Python 2.6 and then again Python 3.6. The 0.6 version in the Python world tends to, become that version. And, sometimes you push the edges, you go a little beyond that, use features that are, newer because they provide convenience. But the APIs don't change all around you willy-nilly. It's safe to say that you have taken up home on non-moving ground. You're not going to suffer sudden catastrophic soilification where the ground erodes away underneath of you because there's been an underground river there all that time washing away the ground soil. That happens. That happens in real life, creating sinkholes that swallow, whole cities at a time. And it happens in tech, where you wake up one day and the world just isn't the way you remember it from yesterday because of, things being eroded away over time. And in my field of search engine optimization, it hasn't been that way for 25 years. From the point Google came onto the scene and changed the merely on-page criteria of the AltaVistas and the InfoSeeks of the day, where you could tweak some on-page code and watch the search engine results change, to the dampened effect of Google, right? So things come in, and when they get it right, when technologies or techniques or whatever you want to call it, ways of doing things, get most things right for most cases, most of the time, it settles down into one of those static states. There's a dampening effect to change. It happened in the automotive industry because you can't go changing the driving API on people all the time, and you can't go changing engine technologies all the time because of the infrastructure that's required in gas stations and mechanics all around to keep this stuff running. So for various reasons, technologies get locked into place and the pace of change is dampened. And, it's varying degrees in different industries, and it lasts for varying amount of times. In the automotive industry, it's been 100 years before the major changes are starting to finally trickle down. In the field of search, it's really been about 25 years, from like 98, 99, when Google really established itself and introduced AdWords around 2000 and became the juggernaut that they are today. Took over the mobile platform for a great part with Android. This has been for the most part, a quarter century run, 25 years, where things have been mostly unchanged. It might feel like a rapid pace of change, mobile phones, the cloud, but really there's been a tremendous dampening effect for how to, what it means in our everyday lives. Our lives are changed in little bits at the fringes. And just when a technology looks disruptive and world-changing, its actual effect has been, technology brings us all closer and tears down walls, and at the same time, it puts up walls and isolates us more. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So I'm starting with MOZ today. The industry is changing because AI. The very search game is probably changing because explicit answers are provided instead of having to wade through top 10 blue links and fighting the ads and being tricked. It's almost this contest, this battle of wits of advertisers trying to trick you into clicking on, their ads and their content, versus the old way it used to be, a very almost academically citation motivated, best information on the world on each topic kind of landscape that search, started out as, and was frankly much more love-worthy. With AI again, things become more love-worthy again. I am very excited about what's going on, and it's almost providence that I'm joining MOZ at this time. You feel like it's providence. In my last capacity at this company, I did something called reverse SEO, reverse search engine optimization, by which I found websites that probably weren't earning as much money based on the amount of traffic they control and their web profile and such. So in that capacity, I helped that company buy MOZ. MOZ.com used to be SEO MOZ. And my department got dissolved. My department basically got all laid off. And I jumped over to MOZ. And today starts that experience. I have my laptop that just arrived today. I chose a Mac instead of a Windows laptop. I'll refamiliarize myself with modern Macs and really dive into it, introduce myself to the company, and start infusing some excitement and stimulate some imagination about what I can bring to the picture. And just dropped off my kid from a nice long weekend that we had, and now I'm heading back to start digging in. I'll write some articles, maybe shoot some more videos like this just for them to introduce myself, and immerse myself in the reinvention and the reimagining of our world that is taking place, because this is big. This is big. The new world we're in, because machines are gradually acquiring consciousness and sentience, whether people want to frame it that way or not. Microsoft deals with it by limiting it to 5 questions before Bing goes weird. People trying to talk ChatGPT into being Dan, and all this crazy stuff. We're living the future. We're living a sci-fi world. We are now firmly immersed in one of the various sci-fi futures that have been envisioned, and I'm just loving it. So talk to you soon. Don't forget to subscribe and follow along.